And hello, welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. This show brings you the big stories for the week as captured by various media outlets. When I come back, I'll give you an idea what they reported for the week and also introduce to you my panel who will delve into the issues raised by the media outlets. Don't go away. So welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. So let's bring you some of the stories for the week and start with some stories for today and go to City Newsroom. And it says, EC welcomes Supreme Court ruling on new voters register. This happened today, Thursday. City Newsroom, Supreme Court clears EC to compile new voters register. Still with City Newsroom, you can't use existing voter ID to register. Supreme Court dismisses NDC case. Let's go to the Ghanaian Times and NDC's old voter ID card case against EC. SC stops Imani from joining case as friend of court. MyJoyOnline.com, EC can compile new voters register. This is a Supreme Court ruling. Graphic Online, Supreme Court excludes old voter IDs and birth certificates for voter registration. The Chronicle says Imani Asepa thrown out. Court says they are not neutral. Let's go to the Daily Statesman on this ruling from the Supreme Court today. It says Supreme Court rules on NDC EC case today. And then let's go to the New Crusading Guide, see how they captured that story. Supreme Court throws out Imani over new voters register. The Daily Statesman says NDC members confused as Mahama clashes with Ofosu Ampofo over voters register. Let's move away from the voter register matters with the Supreme Court and go to the NPP primaries matters arising from that primary. Start with City Newsroom. NPP did not protect any incumbent MP. This is Sami Ewuku speaking. Still, City Newsroom, don't abandon parliamentary work. Okwe urges defeated NPP MPs. City Newsroom, again, NPP primaries. Ama says rejection of Akwetia results baseless. Ernest Kumi speaking. And then wrap up with City Newsroom says Evans Nimako fires back at Sami JV after criticism over NPP primaries. Let's go to the Daily Graphic, see how they capture that story. They say NPP parliamentary primaries, 40 incumbents fall. Daily Guide says NPP big guns fall, 7 ministers out. Let's go to the Chronicle. They say 40 NPP campaigns thrown out of Parliament. The Finance says new faces take over. 41 MPs ousted. More than 9 are leaders of various parliamentary committees. The Ghanaian Observer says NPP big boys fall in primaries. The Daily Statesman says join hands for decisive victory. President Akufo-Addo charges NPP faithful. The Herald says government unpopularity causes defeat of 30 MPs at primaries as NPP delegates scream US dollars, CDs, fridges, TV sets, gas burners and blenders from aspirants. The Finder says, let us unite for victory in upcoming elections. Nana Addo speaking over there. The New Crusading Guide says Akufo-Addo congratulates NPP on successful primaries. Let's go to the New Publisher. It says NPP primaries defeated MPs snub Parliament. And then let's wrap up this story with the Ghanaian Observer. It has NPP primaries don't give ammunition to NDC. Freddie Blay charges losing aspirants. Let's move away from that story and go to the story to do with the demolition of a building at the Nigerian High Commission. And start with City Newsroom. It says Akufo-Addo apologizes to Buhari after demolition at Nigeria High Commission. Still on City Newsroom, Nigeria High Commission paid for land demolished structure to be rebuilt. This is the Foreign Affairs Minister Shirley Ayoko Botre speaking over there. Still with City Newsroom, 2 arrested over demolition at Nigeria High Commission. We wrap up with City Newsroom because they say Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Committee unhappy over demolition at High Commission in Ghana. Let's go to the Daily Graphic, see how they capture that story. They say government to reconstruct demolished properties of Nigerian High Commission. And let's move to the New Crusading Guide. They say Osumanche and elders condemn demolition at Nigerian High Commission. Let's move away from that story and wrap up with the COVID-19 pandemic. Go to City Newsroom says Ghana's COVID-19 case count rises to 15,473. Recoveries now 11,431. City Newsroom again, COVID-19, government warns of growing workplace infections. Let's move away from City Newsroom and let's go to Daily Graphic and see how they capture that story this week. They say COVID-19 safety measures, SHS enforce protocols. Let's go to the Ghanaian Times, says ensure strict adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols. President task heads of basic schools. Government undertakes exercise for 112 basic schools in Savannah region. Let's go to the Finder on COVID-19. They say government engaging pleas on interpretation of EI 164. This is Opon Kruma, the Minister for Information, speaking. And then the Herald has a question, says Dan Botre, Napo and Afenyo Markin in hospital with COVID-19. They ask. And then let's wrap up with a New Crusading Guide. They say cops prepared for successful academic work as JHS open on June 29. So these are the three stories captured by the various media outlets. One to do with the COVID-19, another to do with the MPP primaries, the third to do with the demolition at the Nigerian High Commission, and of course the fourth to do with today's ruling by the Supreme Court on the NDC's case against the EC on whether the old voters register ID should be used for the registration exercise. So let me bring in the gentleman I'll be having today's discussion with. I have Samuel Atta-Mensah. He's with City FM as well as City TV. Samuel Atta-Mensah, welcome. Thank you. Then I have Salom Adonu. He's head of features and articles here at City FM and City TV. Welcome, Salom.
Thank you, Vivian.
Okay, so I think we should start with the Supreme Court, but before that, I think I'll get some quick reactions from you. The former president has spoken on the ruling from the Supreme Court today. He made some few pointers. First of all, he says the party is deeply in disagreement with the ruling and they will have their legal team look into the matter. Secondly, they are questioning why the Supreme Court deferred the reason for the ruling to the 15th of July. Also, they are saying people should turn up to register to protest against today's ruling, and also they feel that this whole ruling is a deliberate attempt to defranchise some Ghanaians. So, Salom, let me start with you quickly. Your thoughts on the former president's assertions on this ruling?
Well, I expected a thing like this from the NDC. I expected certainly a statement of this nature. Anytime there is such a huge ruling or a matter that hugely impacts on the plans or activities of an organization, you should expect the top hierarchy of that organization coming out to speak. In a 2012 election petition case, soon after the Supreme Court delivered its verdict, about an hour or two, you saw now president, then candidate, or then candidate in that election come to make a statement. He said he disagreed with it, but he accepted it. So it is not strange to see things like this. And indeed, judgments of courts, can be critiqued. What is not done is to be attacking the personalities of the judges, etc. But their work can be critiqued, and that is how we grow, and that is how we see improvement in those aspects of things. He made mention of the fact that he didn't understand. He was surprised why the reasons for the judgment to be deferred. It is not the first time the Supreme Court has done this.
So this is not out of place?
At all. The Supreme Court does this many times. Even in the election petition case, people said that such a huge or such a protracted trial or process, which lasted about 8 months, the ruling or the judgment was delivered in 3 minutes. And people sought to make a big deal out of that in those times because you couldn't read the whole thing. In fact, that election petition case, when you look at, there's a special Supreme Court report on that. It's about 500 pages. So you couldn't be reading 500 pages at a sitting, So it's always wise to do that. Many judgments in recent time, even the recent case, there was a recent case which went to court that in fact, the retirement age of the Martin Amidu case, the reasons were not given on that day. The summary or the conclusions were just read out. And we were told that, on a certain date, the reasons will be made available. It happens every time. Okay. And also, one thing I realize the Supreme Court does these days, because of the COVID-19, is that they don't want to encourage people sitting there for a long time. Okay. So if the judgment is long, or usually, almost all judgments, the conclusions are just read, like the way we did today, we saw today. The conclusions are just read, and you are told that, on such a date, or the judgment copies will be made available at the registry, and so you can pick them up. So it is not out of place at all. Okay. Maybe what you can talk about is why the very long time, because today is 25th, and then 15th July. But indeed, the court said on or before 15th July, so it could be tomorrow. Okay. So that is just, we are just maybe not happy because we are students of law that we will not have the opportunity to look at the judgment and read it now so that it can feed or factor into our analysis. Okay. But it's not something that is strange. Asking people to express themselves about the judgment, it's right. Once that expression is within the boundaries of the law, it is very right. The right to expression. But we must also know that some of those rights, as we speak in these pandemic times, have been taken away or have been restricted by the Imposition of Restriction Act. Mm-hmm. So you can't, lawfully mass up or say you are demonstrating in a certain manner. Mm-hmm. I don't know if demonstration at all will be accepted, because in the US, when the guys we are told that they are informed, they are advised to space out. We didn't see a lot of that, but sometimes you see them spacing out. I don't know what the situation for our context will be, but as it stands now, a lot of those rights have been restricted or have been taken away because of COVID. So, of course, you expect that being the candidate for the largest opposition party, perhaps, a shadow government, if you like, he will say a few things about the current government, about how they are handling matters, etc. So we expected him to make a call to his people to register. Yes, you express your disappointment in the judgment, etc. You can say everything you want to say. So his legal team will look at it. I don't know what that means, whether it is just to placate the base or they will seriously look into it and see what they can do. But this was a unanimous decision. It was a 7-0 decision. And usually 7-0 decisions, even if you have to go for a review, though he didn't mention that, if you have to go for a review, only 2 judges will be added to it. And even if these 2 judges come and they support you, the best you will get is 7-2. And 7-2 is not a win. Okay. And it's very unlikely to have the majority of the 7 judges, changing their mind. 1 or 2 may, given the force of the argument you will wage later. But 7-0, it appears like a lost case.
Okay, we'll come to the case proper. Let me pick Samense's quick thoughts about the former president's thoughts about this whole Supreme Court ruling, and then we'll look at the case proper, Samense.
Thank you, Vivian. For me, I think I like the urgency with which they organize the press conference addressing the issues of concern. And then also I like the fact that he makes a call to action in terms of making people aware of the need to go and register. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. In fact, everything to do with the election starts from registration. But I think that this is the end of the matter.
Yeah, they're going to protest, go back to court, hit the streets.
I think that this is the end of the matter, because I don't even know what he meant by review the judgment. Because you will review with the view to alter the judgment, okay? But the substantive element in this judgment is that registration will take place. And you have encouraged people to get ready and register. So you want to review so that what? This is my question. So that's why I say that, look, this is the end of the matter, because, again, it will be important for the NDC and the NPP, for that matter, to expend their energies on galvanizing people to get ready for the election proper. I mean, it's okay to go to the Supreme Court. It's okay. I can understand why they will be disappointed and even reject the outcomes. But that's where it ends.
Okay.
So the verdict stands and life continues.
Right. Okay. Let's look at the case proper. I mean, when the ruling was made around 11 or so, a lot of back and forth over what the Supreme Court meant and all that, whether the NDC had gotten its way or the case had been thrown out. Solomon, you were in court. Run people through exactly what all this means and,
Well, today, so yes, the judgment was given today, and a number of things. So the judgment was not read in full. The conclusion was just given. The conclusion captured the verdict really. So what the court does normally is to look at the reliefs and see if those reliefs have been granted or dismissed. So there are 8 reliefs that the NDC was seeking. I think Isan Kumar did a summary of that. Yeah. So if I could just look at the reliefs quickly. Relief 1 was a declaration that the EC can only compile the register once and has no power to prepare a fresh register. If you recall, at the last adjourned date, the NDC was made to choose between Relief 1 and Relief 1 and the alternative relief. And they said they were abandoning or withdrawing Relief 1. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they withdrew, we didn't mean it had been amended. So Relief 1 was still there, but it had been struck out. So Relief 2, declaration that the EC's power to compile and review register must respect and protect the right to vote. This is very general, and this is what every electoral commission, every serious country will do. So this one, the court granted it and said yes, but subject to the new CI, which is CI 126, the CI that only allows you to register if you have a passport or Ghana card or you have somebody
to vouch for you.
Exactly. Relief 3 is the Relief 3 they were seeking, or the third relief they were seeking, is that they wanted a declaration that upon registering and being issued a voter ID card, a person has an accrued right to vote, which cannot be taken away in an arbitrary and capricious manner. This is also true. Mm-hmm. So the court says, yes, granted, but it must be in compliance with the new CI 126. So, yes, your right to be accrued, but that right will accrue through 126. That is, if you come to the table with the prescribed identification documents. Relief 4, which was supposed to be the game changer, declaration that all existing voter ID cards are valid for identifying persons in the exercise of the right to vote. That the court dismissed. Relief 5, a declaration that the new CI's exclusion of existing voter ID cards as proof of identification is unconstitutional and a nullity. The Supreme Court disagreed, so it dismissed that. And Relief 6, a declaration that the EC excluding the existing voter ID cards from proof of identification is arbitrary, etc. Mm-hmm. Dismissed. Relief 7, declaration that proof of identification should not be limited to what the new CI says. Dismissed. Relief 8, an order that the EC must include all existing voter ID cards as one of the documents serving as proof of identification. The Supreme Court disagreed, and so that was also dismissed. So in reading out what I've just read out, the Supreme Court, I mean, in COVID times, they were all in mask. Mm-hmm. The judges, sometimes when they are talking, you don't hear them well. They are supposed to have microphones before them. But these are, elderly people. You don't always hear them well. Sometimes you hear them very well. Mm. But today, the Chief Justice himself read, he was the president of the panel. In reading the reliefs out, of course, not everybody, apart from the parties themselves, not everybody had the reliefs before them. Not everybody had the relief before them. Mm. So when they mentioned the reliefs, dismissed, granted, I think people got lost along the way. And because they were not very audible and we couldn't not hear them well because they were wearing masks, etc. People became confused, and people thought that the reliefs granted were actually the reliefs that were to change the game. Okay. That is relief 4. Okay. So maybe instead of relief 2 and 3, people thought relief 4 came up. Maybe also because relief 1 had been struck out as withdrawn, and so people thought that the other reliefs would shift up. So relief 2 will become relief 1. I don't know.
Okay.
So for whatever reason, after it was done and the court rose, before the court rose, even Godfred Dame, who is the deputy AG, was seeking some clarification from the bench, which they told him. After the bench rose, there was quite some confusion, not noise, but you could see confusion in the faces of people not being sure what was said. So you see lawyers or people asking, what did they say, etc. All of a sudden, you saw that there were 2 huddles, 2 groups of people. The MPP lawyers gathered at one point, the NDC lawyers gathered at one point, and the discussions they were having were very different. One group was acknowledging the fact that, yes, their release have been granted or they have won. The other side to doing same. So that was how come when Asiedu Nketia got out and the media rushed to him,
he
only reflected what he was told.
Okay.
If you spoke to the AG and the other people who were following him, like Yaopon, etc., they would have told you something else. So that was how the whole thing went today.
Okay. Let me put my final question to Samens on this matter, and then we have to go on a quick break. Samens, your quick reaction to this ruling. Your thoughts on this ruling.
He's a lawyer, I'm not. But, I think between then and then, when the judgment was given and now, I think people have had the benefit of getting more understanding to what the ruling sought to establish. We've seen these things happen since we got into the 92 Constitution, from the days of Cecilia Guacon, Kwame Penim issue, to all the others that we can count. Every time heading to a major election, you find some of these people. I think by and large this has been peaceful and smooth. And I just think that we take it as it is and move on.
So we'll see you guys on the 30th of June.
So 2 things for me that's very clear to every Ghanaian is that the registration will happen. That's one. Yeah. Second is that the use of the old ID cards is null and void. Yeah. So you cannot show up with your old ID card. Okay. I think that's clear enough.
Right, that's it. So,
but it also puts serious pressure on the EC to be able to do the magic to make things work. Because people are ready to accept the decision of the Supreme Court, but people are not ready to be disenfranchised.
Okay, all right.
So
you have 30 seconds.
Yes, so the same thing Samens has said was captured in the consequential orders. So it is hereby ordered that the stakeholders and the Ghanaian eligible voters are directed to comply with Articles 42, 45 of the Constitution and the CI 126 as regulated by the Electoral Commission. And also said that by this decision, the EC is hereby directed to commence the compilation of the registration exercise as scheduled. And by these decisions, by virtue of Article 132 of the Constitution, any court in which same or similar action is pending or yet to be filed shall apply the decision rendered by the Supreme Court in this consolidated suit. And this, number 3, is very key, as it cuts short, any potential suit in respect of this.
So the likes of the Ashaman MP and co, who had taken the EC to court on the matter, that's it.
But is that the one that Imani wanted to join?
Yeah, this is the same case. Imani then wanted to provide an amicus brief to help.
And they were elbowed out.
And the court said they were not a neutral party.
No, they were elbowed. Franklin, hi.
Hello, Franklin. Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at another big story that started over the weekend, the demolition of a building on the Nigerian High Commission's property. We'll look at that matter. Don't go away.
You're lucky to be working with the president's office.
Yes,
you're writing speeches. What was that experience like?
Well, it was a great experience.
Literally putting words into the mouth of the first gentleman of the land.
oppression. People being oppressed because of what they believe in, people being oppressed because of the skin color, people being mistreated just because of who they are, what they are, whether they are women or they are men or whether they are children. That just strengthened my resolve to do whatever I can in my own way. Politics of persecution, if I can help it, to avoid it or to stop it from wherever it's happening.
Yeah, welcome back to what the papers are saying. My name is Vivian Kailuk. I'm here with Samuel Mensah and Stella Madonu. So we moved to the second case, the second biggest story for the week by far. Had to do with some group of men who demolished the property on the Nigeria High Commission's property during the weekend, which has sparked a lot of agitations all over the place. In the end, the Foreign Affairs Minister has said that Ghana intends to rebuild that property. That property, the Nigerians had paid for it, and also there'll be some engagement between authorities and also traditional council who laid claim to that property. But let me bring in Samens, to give us some background to this area, because I know you know about these land. You know that area in question. It used to be a place long before I was born and all that. A place that wasn't really, in the development or prime like we're saying now.
Well, that's Roman Ridge. So yeah, Roman Ridge is prime.
But give us an idea of the history of that place.
I don't have the history, but Roman Ridge is prime, whichever way you look at it. But is that portion of Roman Ridge which used to be waterlogged, and in the maybe late 70s and 80s. That's the area that people used to do vegetable farming along the railway line and the big gutter that separated Roman Ridge from Jowulu. So when it rains, it moves in that direction, and so that place was waterlogged to some extent. But as we moved into the 90s. A lot of developments started springing up. So if you know Roman Ridge, you have what we call the RR flats, the Roman Ridge flats, and then the prisons, which is a James Camp prison, and behind the prisons, then you are getting into the the Jowulu side. I think what normally happens is when government takes the land from the traditional authorities as two lands for a purpose, they are supposed to use it for the purpose, and that if you don't use it for the purpose,
you give it back
I think you either you renegotiate with the stool lands or you give it back. Selma, am I correct? From the interactions, it looks like some communication gap happened, and so between 98 and 2000, negotiations started with the Nigerian High Commission, who at the time, I think were having challenges with their place in cantonments, if you like. And so by 2000, they were able to secure this land. Now, as a High Commission or an embassy, where else would they want to do that exchange for a land apart from the Land Commission? And so nobody can say that they were wrong in going to the Lands Commission to purchase a land. You understand? If they had bought it from some random individual, then you blame them that, hey, maybe this. But they did the right thing, went to the Lands Commission. Okay, now the Lands Commission also thought that, okay, this is a foreign mission and we need to help them. Why not? So we give it to them. Maybe they should have informed the stool land, the owners of the land that, well, this is what we're going. I don't know for a fact whether they did, but from what we are hearing, it looks like that thing was kept.
Yes.
And then many years after, the owners, the original owners of the land come up and say, well, this land belongs to us. Yes, indeed, they belong to you, but it was handed over to the government. So if you need it and you really want to wrestle it, you go to court and take possession. Until then, you have no right to go and destroy somebody's property.
Yeah.
I mean, until then, if the court has not instructed that to take possession, under no circumstance should you go and break down this property. And I think that's where we goofed.
Yeah.
That's where we goofed. And you know, you see, this case is very important. It's very important because the question I ask is that if this thing had happened to an ordinary individual, apart from the fact that it happened to the Nigerian High Commission,
what would have happened?
we would have just overlooked it simply.
Yeah.
Because it's happening.
It's happening all over the place.
It's happening all over the place. People move to development areas in the name of stool lands and start destroying property.
Yeah.
And they have officers and men of the Ghana police and at times military men supporting and giving them protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go there, people have title, official title from the Lands Commission, and then hooligans will come with guns, at times even to the loss of lives.
Yeah.
And we are seeing this happening in our eyes, right in our eyes.
And land guardism is supposed to be illegal.
Vivian, go to the place behind Trade Fair, what do you call it? Chado. It's happening there. Pantai. It's happening there.
Even to the hospital.
Go to this place, the Eburi area. It's all over the place. And you find, you see, what the most bizarre is that you state police are at times used to effect some of these illegal things.
Because in this case, we are told that they called the police, and 3 times they came, nothing was done.
Well, somebody somewhere may be doing something you don't know. Because actually, that's what happens. Look, go to Eburi now and see what's happening there. It's the same thing. People have titles. You'll be there, somebody comes with the aid of police, at times with the aid of military, they take it away from you. You are voiceless, you are powerless, they will take your land from you. Even if, you see, we don't respect the emblem of this state called Ghana.
Yeah.
Because you have a land title which bears the emblem of the Republic of Ghana. They have no respect whatsoever. And that's my problem.
Yeah.
So we've been doing it, nothing happens, and now we have supervised it as is being done to the weak in society and the poor in society. Now we've elevated it to the Nigerians. And they are not going to sit down laughing.
Yeah. We'll look at their reactions. Well, we're seeing their Speaker of Parliament saying that, hey, they should react, not accept the apologies we are rendering and all that. But Selom, from the legal side, this matter of lands all over is a big thing. We've put in place so many, legislation around it to get things done. We've now gotten to the lap 1, lap 2, still nothing substantive has come out of it. We're still seeing all these double sales, land guardism, all that happening.
The issue about land acquisition in Ghana, it's a landmine. It has reached a stage where if you are not strong, people will take your land from you. That is what has spawned this phenomenon of land guardism, because state actors or law enforcement agencies sit, and people who have power and are able to marshal resources will take your land from you. And there's a lot also happening at the Lands Commission. So somebody will have title. By the time the person realizes something has happened, the person's name has been changed. So the person is sitting somewhere thinking he has title. If the person goes to do a search again, the person's name is being removed, or for something. So there's a lot going on, and so the Lands Commission place itself needs to be looked at. But back to the issue, what happened over the weekend was an embarrassment to the state of Ghana. You know, it is clear in international law, the Vienna Convention on Diplomacy Relations of 1961 or 1963, Article 22 of that reads, 1, the premises of the mission shall be inviolable. Inviolable. The agents of the receiving state is Ghana, and the sending state in this case is Nigeria. So the agents of the receiving state may not enter them except with the consent of the head of the mission. Number 2, the receiving state is under a special duty to take all appropriate steps to protect the premises of the mission against any intrusion or damage, and to prevent any disturbance of the peace of the mission or impairment of its dignity. 3, the premises of the mission, their furnishings and other property thereon, and the means of transport of the mission shall be immune from search, requisition, attachment, or execution. So this is clear. The action was not sanctioned by government. By now it's clear. The Osu Stool has come out to claim responsibility for it, and they've issued a statement justifying same. Yeah. But the point is that they should know, or they ought to have known, that the fact that that place is a foreign mission was a no-go area for them.
Well, they claim it belongs to a private Nigerian businessman, and 2, it was being used to build an event center. But the
residence of the High Commissioner was there. And by virtue of that alone should have told them that it is not a place that you ordinarily go and claim. And who even gave them the authority to go and demolish the place? You cannot demolish a building until you have a court order to do so. And indeed, the courts are very slow in even granting demolition orders or orders to demolish, because the court knows what goes into putting up buildings, etc. So in many cases, what will happen is they will ask you to pay for the land or regularize or do other things. But to demolish the building, of course, court can grant an order to do so, but they do so reluctantly, they do so very slowly. So Ghana, that stretch, very important stretch, a number of embassies or missions on that stretch, very prominent stretch. One should expect that that stretch will have security 24/7. But we didn't appear to see anything like that. They claim, the Nigerians claim they called the Ghana police many times for about 1 hour. We didn't hear anything from them. This is not the first time you'll be calling Ghana police and they will not come. I don't know where the calls go, but in that case, they didn't come. Where were they? Where were security people on that stretch? So does it mean that if something serious, even more than this, is happening in a house like that, in that area, which should be a security zone, I think, we wouldn't have any police intervention? That is very, very dangerous. But the refreshing thing is the attitude or the conduct of the Ghanaian state in this matter. What happens in international law is when a thing like this happens, what is important is the conduct of the state. If the conduct of the state is such that it supports the wrong, then now that matter could escalate. But now Ghana has come out clearly to condemn that. Indeed, arrests have been made, investigation is ongoing, arrests have been made, and I'm sure the government of Ghana will want to push this to the letter. That would be great. An apology has been rendered, but the Nigerians are now saying that an apology is not enough because this is not the first time this has happened. So, not a good thing. The Osu Stool must answer some questions. Ghana has also committed to put up the building, the way it was, which is a great thing. That should be some good news to the Nigerians. But my other question too is, if you acquired this place 20 years ago, you are in Ghana, so you should understand how things work in Ghana. You should at least have documents to the place. It's basic. I don't know whether they tried, they didn't get. I don't know what might have happened. And even if they tried and they didn't get, you are in the country as a foreign mission. You have relationship with the Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Foreign Affairs, as part of their duties, they are to facilitate some of these things for you. Did you inform them? Now, the Osu people to have said that they made several attempts to get them to the table, but it fell on deaf ears. My question is, if you acquired this place as far back as 2000, and you own the place, no question about that, and a party is laying claim to that. Do you sit down, you inform your host. So I'm sure I don't know if they did, but I'm sure if they did, something would have happened. So that by now they'll be saying that they even informed the state And the state
But
refused
isn't
or
it
failed to
interesting?
act.
So the Nigerians bought the land from Land Commission. Land Commission knew that this land belonged to the Osu stool. If you look at the statement from the Osu stool, they said when they started looking for the owner of that land, the Land Commission were brought into the discussion. The police were brought into the discussion. How come they never said, well, in 2000 or so, that land was sold to the Nigerians, but no documents were given to them?
There's the issue of poor records, or I mean, record keeping at the Lands Commission is poor, very, very poor. That is why very poor people. We've heard stories about people who go there with their files to do one thing or the other, and the files get missing. They have to go again. It's a whole mess, and I think we need to really look at that place. It's a whole mess. So the issue about bringing in police, I mean, that's their story. We've not heard from the Lands Commission yet. They've been very silent. I don't know why.
But they will be silent. They will be silent because they have nothing to say. I think I must correct. I think I made an earlier error in describing where the land was situated. The office of the High Commission is at Roman Ridge.
Yes, but the residence
are Ringway Estates. So
the Zenith Bank empty and the other side, that road.
The residence is on the same road, which is the ceremonial road where you have the Latter-day Saints, Canadian High Commission. Yes. So the front of the residence faces the Independence
Avenue. Is a stretch.
Sorry, the stretch.
Yeah.
And then the back of it
is where the thing is.
It's in the same area as the Smith Guest House.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand why the stool lands are referring to the place as an event center, because indeed they have used the place for Nigerian events for some time.
Okay.
Indeed, and I have been there to see somebody when there was a Nigerian event going on before, and so that's why they are saying what they are saying.
Yeah.
But the embassy or the High Commission is saying that this property was supposed to be used to house members of staff, and that you can't take away from them. In any case, even if they wanted to use it for an event center, and so what? So long as they bought it legitimately, they should be able to do whatever they want to do as communicated to the Lands Commission.
Yeah.
But again, if the stool lands have any issue, they should rather have the issue with the Lands Commission and not the Nigerian High Commission. Because that's where the problem is. Yeah. Because every payment that is made on behalf of the said land should also be accrued to the stool lands. So if money has not exchanged hands, then they will wake up in arms, like we're seeing.
Yeah.
You know, what they deserve should be given to them. But to leave things hanging like this will always cause problems. Okay. And this one should serve as a lesson to all of us. Okay.
We have 2 minutes to conclude.
Yes, I mean, see, I've listened to the Speaker of the Nigerian Parliament, Femi Gbajabiamila also, and he is very livid about the situation. Yeah. He says it's been one too many. He said this is the second one. I don't know which the first one was. But I hope he was not talking about the Nigerian traders.
No, because they tried to break that building prior. They've been there before. They started and then they went away. Okay. This is the second time they've attempted to demolish.
He was very angry. He said, they've become a laughing stock, etc. A lot of people who have also spoken on this matter have referenced the Nigerian traders matters. Yeah. But I blame us because we are people who sometimes do not want to confront matters. So we leave the matters to hang, and by some reason they die off, and if we are lucky, they don't come back again. This Nigerian traders matter has been lingering, and we are yet to see a decisive resolution of it. Now they are saying that their shops have been closed. This has happened to, so it's building up, and the anger is building up. We have Ghanaians also in Nigeria. If they are to retaliate or to reciprocate,
the issue is about the law.
Okay.
The Osu stool lands broke the law by going there to break the building. No two ways about that. Now, if you are Nigerian and you are not supposed to be in retail trading and you do it, you have broken the law. All we want to do is to preserve our law. It's not about who has been moved from a shop. The thing is that, are you qualified to do it? If you are not, just leave. are you qualified to go and possess the property? If you are not, don't do it. This is where we are.
Okay.
You know, it's the land commission. You see, the lands commission should be blamed in this whole game. And they shouldn't be let. You know, they've arrested some 2 people. I think they should go to the Lands Commission and arrest the person who renewed the mandate in 2019.
Okay.
Because they are hiding there, they are watching us on TV. Meanwhile, they know what they've done.
Okay, gentlemen, we have to leave it here. Thank you very much, Thomas and Salamadon. When we come back, we have Vivian's View. Don't go away. Now, not a week passes by without news on land litigation issues here in Ghana, especially in the Greater Accra region. From wrongful claim and sale of lands to forceful and fraudulent takeover of lands, as well as threats and attacks on people over land ownership. Our troubles with land ownership are so serious that we even have a whole group of people known as land guards who will go at all lengths, including through violence, to protect or claim a parcel of land. And our failure in this stead seems to have come to a head as we got embarrassed by the action of a few people who in a single day ensured that Ghana breached many clauses in the Vienna Convention, bringing us to the brink of a serious diplomatic row with neighboring Nigeria this week. This must be a wake-up call for us to fix our land ownership issues. Now, the demolition of a building in the residence of the Nigerian High Commissioner by armed men under the cover of darkness without evidence of a court order got all of us talking and concerned about our land ownership problems. Now, for years, Accra has wallowed in land litigation matters, and growing demand for land in the region has also worsened this huge challenge. Most people who have acquired a parcel of land in the capital, one way or the other, have had challenges with its ownership. We've heard and reported on countless cases of how people have been swindled, injured, and even in some cases killed over land disputes. Now, according to a 2003 World Bank report, as of that year, 15,000 land cases were pending before the courts in Accra, and I'm sure fast forward to 2020, this number will be much higher. Substantive governments have tried to solve this matter, all introducing all sorts of solutions, but to no avail. Now, a number of legislative interventions have been put in place since the 80s, like the Compulsory Land Title Registration Law, PNDC 156, 1986, the Lands Commission Act 1994, Act 483. Also, we have the Office of the Administrator of Stool Lands Act 1994, Act 481, and the famous National Land Policy leading to the Land Administration Project LAP 1 and 2. Now, the long-term objective of LAP, we're told, is to, among other things, simplify the process of land acquisition, develop a land market, and also establish an efficient and sustainable system of land administration for all lands. But fast track to 2020. Despite all the investments made into the project, we still have huge challenges with land acquisition. We know the solution to these problems include full and proper implementation of LAP and the strengthening of the Land Commission and other statutory bodies. But it still remains a mystery how state institutions are unable to implement the very policies they sign on to. The Ministry of Lands must show leadership in these matters and help us resolve these problems. Some countries like Rwanda have used digital mapping technology to simplify the process of land title registration. This could be a good starting point. We are still sitting on a time bomb with these land challenges, and we need to wake up as a country and seriously deal with this matter before it's too late. This has been Vivian's View. My name is Vivian Kailoko. Thank you so much for watching what the papers are saying. Goodbye.